Hey everybody, happy Tiff Talk Sunday. It is exactly 3:40, 3:58 is what I'm looking at. And we are going live here. Today is going to be an awesome show. And I am so excited about it because we have an awesome guest. So as we are getting everything set up between both social media platforms, I want to make sure that you guys here are being able to chime in and being able to get the best footage. We've been working on some things with our set and also with our lighting and the logistics behind the scene. So I want to make sure that we give you guys the best quality. I see a couple people are already coming in. We're gonna give it a few more minutes to build our audience since we are running like 3 minutes behind. But still in the same, I want to welcome everybody that has came in yet. Remember, for everybody that is on Facebook, we cannot see you unless you say that you're there. So please make sure that when you come into the live that you either wave or drop a comment so that we can acknowledge you. I can only see the number of people, not who's in the live. So make sure that as you are coming in, you are dropping your name, your city, and if you have any community involvement or outreach that you want us to shout out, we are more than happy to do that. So I already see that Gloria has come in. Hey, Glow. And I already see one of my mentors, Drew, has come in. Thank you for coming in. So we're going to give everybody a few more minutes to come in while we build our audience. And we'll just keep it going and get started right at maybe another 2 minutes. All the right to All right, I see that Ken has joined in. Hey, Ken. Everybody, as you are coming in, make sure. Hey, Miguel, I see you here on Facebook. As you guys are coming in, make sure that you drop where you're from. And what I mean where you're from, what city you're from, because we actually go live in various cities. So the city that you're from, your name, and any community outreach or engagement that you want us to shout out. I see that another one of our co-workers have come on. I want to say like where it was from. I had to check myself. So I see one of our co-workers, Susie, has come on. Hey, girl. We are going to get started in just a few minutes. We're allowing our audience to build on both Facebook and Instagram. So as you are coming in, make sure that you are shouting out where you're from, any community engagement that you want us to mention as well, and we will be sure to do that. All right, so let's get started. It is right at 4:01, 4:02. For those of you that are new to this platform, my name is Tiffany. I am a social worker by trade and a community activist at heart. I'm a licensed social worker. I've practiced in the field of social services for just about forever, well over a decade. And as I have evolved as a professional, I really just found myself in a position that I wanted to give more of myself and more of my craft. And in doing that, this platform, Tiff Talks, was created. And it's a safe place where we talk about the hard-hitter, heavy topics. All the taboos, from what's going on in our community to what's going on in our heart and our mind and our spirit and even in our bodies with health and wellness, So today is an awesome day, and I am very excited for today. Today's topic is one that we discuss throughout the year, but of course we tackle during the month of February, and that topic is self-love. And that topic is so very near and dear to my heart because I'm checked on it a lot. So it's something that I'm held accountable on, but something that I also reinforce for myself and for my peer group and for my friends and my circle as well. So today we're going to be talking all about self-love. And I am so excited to welcome our guest host today. Y'all do not know what it has taken me and my team to get her here. So I'm excited to welcome my dear colleague and my friend and my accountability partner and the owner, operator, and host of the Selfish Single podcast, lifestyle brand as well. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, but y'all just don't know. Y'all need to get y'all notepads because it's going to be a lot of insight and a lot of gems dropping. You're going to want to write it down, and if you're not ready, you're going to miss it. So go and get your notepads while she introduces herself, and then we're going to just jump right into the topic for today.
Thank you, Tiffany. Hi, everybody. My name is Ch-ree. I am the owner, host, and lifestyle brand of the Selfish Single podcast YouTube channel, and I work with Tiffany, met her at work, and we grew a friendship based on our closeness at work. But in working with her, I kind of built my brand in the Selfish Single in growing, living a life that's set apart for God, but also living a life for yourself. So you want to make sure that you're selfish in your lifestyle, in your commitments, in your approach, in everything that you do, and make sure that you keep God centered in that. So that's basically how the Selfish Single came about. It is a faith-based brand, so it is centered around your relationship individually with God. But I'm so happy to be a part of Tiff Talks. So thank you. I'm a little camera shy, so if I don't engage with you guys, just don't hold me to it, okay?
All right. So to get right into it a little bit, you just kind of comment on, and I want you to really give the background on how you came about with the Selfish Single, because that's something that I love to hear over and over again. So I think it's important to share that with our audience.
Of course. So I titled it The Selfish Single because I am a single person by relationship status, but I'm also set apart. So selfish, I looked at it as not being a negative connotation, but being breaking it down into the word self, which is as far as I'm concerned, and then ish, meaning all about. So if you look at grown-ish, black-ish, it's an about. The ish is an about situation. So as far as about me or about self, and then the single, instead of looking at it as a relationship standpoint, or from people looking at it as, or you check this box if you're single, married, divorced, I don't have time for that. So I looked at it as, how can I take this label, so to speak, and put it and make it use it to where I'm empowered by it, and I'm not held down by it. So I took that as, well, in the Bible, you look at being single or being singled out as being set apart. And so I took that and I just created this brand, if you will, and it just caught on fire. So that's the Selfish Single.
I love it. I love the part about being set apart. And just, I mean, when I got ready to sit down and write this outline, got ready to tackle this topic, I went like mind blown with so many different title topics, because I was like, I want to talk about self-love, but I want to talk about self-love in a different light. So I was like, okay, let's look at selfless love. Let's look at like the selfish. I mean, I just went everything, and I could not think of, a topic to zone in on, or a title topic to zone in on. And then just listen to your podcast, I was like, that's it. That's selfish love. So that's how we came up with the topic, or the title topic for this particular talk. And I believe doing this live, you'll hear me use selfish love and self-love interchangeably. And the reason for that is I always feel that when it comes down to self-love, that's something that sets you apart from everyone else, because it's your own journey.
Correct.
And it being your own journey, it starts within your soul.
Exactly.
I think when it comes down to just society, we're always kind of groomed to run in packs, to run in community. And I know for me, I was raised in community. It wasn't, just my mom, but it was my mom and my aunts and everybody in our circle. And now with me having children, is my children and me and the godparents and aunties and uncles, and it's a tribe.
Right.
And oftentimes when you see or when you hear community, that, depending on the person, it could be one way or another. How do you feel, I guess society moves on this thought process of community?
So I'm kind of in a balance. I'm a lot of balance of a person, but I look at it as it takes a village. So of course it takes a village. What's the topic? Check on your strong friends. So when you check on your strong friends, you have to know that that person, even though they're handling their individual family, you have to know that they need somebody to check on them. Their husband or their significant other is not always the person that is going to quote unquote check on them. So it takes a village is the community that you have built around to check on each other. Like the way I look at it is the Black Panther Party, when they created the WIC system, when they created that, they created it for the whole community to take care of other people in the community. So it's not just one person doing everything, but everybody doing everything so the community can thrive. Goes back to even Acts when the first church was built. That was the whole premise and purpose of community, or the church, in fact. But to even go to the opposite side of that, I feel like some people take advantage of community. So some people can get in a community that they know is taking care of everything and making sure everybody's okay, and they somehow lose their responsibility or withdraw their responsibility. So I think that there needs to be a balance. Like, yes, you do need community, and yes, it does take a village, but you also have to have some self-responsibility and know that you have to do your part in order for all of the body to function.
I completely agree with that. I think for me, I have learned to find a balance as well when it comes to living and cohabitating in a community, but also being able to have set apart time, set apart energy, set apart just family. When it comes to my family, like I said, we function in the community. They have a group of friends that we raised our kids together because we grew up together. But even in that, we have our own separate lives. And in having your own separate lives, I think we all have our own way of living. We have our own way of how we address self-care, how we raise our children. Yeah, I may call on a friend, hey Jen, what's going on? I'm having this issue with, such and such. I'm having this issue with Chase. Can you help me walk through it? And I may take that advice from her, that community. But when it comes down to it, it's my decision to be made, and that differs. When it comes to my own self-love, and my own selfish love for myself, I feel that I have really kind of evolved when it comes to that over time. And that is because I haven't always valued self-love as I should. And I've struggled with it, like I'm sure some people have. I feel that when it came down for me to really understand self-love, it took a lot of soul searching for me. It took a lot of self-reflection for me. It took a lot of time being able to really kind of dig deep and understand what I needed from love and what I deserved of love in order for me to truly understand self-love and value self-love. I feel that it's taken me a long time, or it's taken me a period of time to develop my own emotional intelligence. And a lot of people, I feel, don't really understand what emotional intelligence is.
They don't.
And I say that because when it comes down to emotional intelligence, it plays a very big part in how you interact with people. And I think more so it plays a very big part in your exchange with interpersonal relationships. I believe in order to really have emotional intelligence, you have to have self-awareness. And you have to have discernment. And that leads me to questioning, what do you feel discernment, or how do you feel discernment kind of wavers on self-love?
And when you say wavers, can you give me?
So discernment is something that I have had to learn. And you've been a part of that journey of discernment. And with that discernment, I feel like what I've learned in regards to my own self-love is being able to take a step back and understand that my value isn't meant for that one person. Or my value isn't meant for that one situation. Being able to make those observations about a situation or about a person, and being able to say within myself, it's not deserving my energy, it's not deserving my time, it's not deserving my anger. And I feel that that's come through self-love. I value my self-love enough where when I've taken that time to have that discernment, I pulled back, and it was easier for me to pull back.
Okay, so going back to you guys' topic from the last Tiff Talks, which was about boundaries.
Yes.
I'm gonna use some of that information. So basically, the discernment is your boundary. That's your first defense. Basically, you want to make sure that you hold this boundary up, and not necessarily a wall, so to speak, but just a barrier to, or some kind of barrier that allows people to know that there is an obstacle that you have to get over in order to get into my safe space. Like this is my area, and in order to allow you into that area, I need to have what's called discernment, so that way I can make sure that you are a friend or foe. And so for me, that barrier is in fact self-love. That discernment speaks for itself as self-love, because you need a barrier to understand that, hey, I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my heart. I'm protecting my mental, my physical, my emotional, my financial.
My time, my energy.
You're protecting all of these things. Because you need to make sure, again, if that person is friend or foe. And you can't do that without having some type of obstacle, whether it be like a emotional discernment, whether it be spiritual discernment. There are different types of discernment that you can obtain, but I feel like that's definitely interchangeable. Like you can use that as the barrier to protect yourself and to also know how to weed out the people who you want in your life. And not necessarily weed as far as you don't want to be selective, but you want to make sure that you are being exclusive. You want to make sure that this group of people is a special group of people that I keep around me, and you want to make sure that that stays that way. You can, I mean, I don't believe in no new friends, but I also don't believe that you have to include everybody. Like everything is not for everybody. And that's okay.
Every piece of me is not for everybody. And our last talker guest, Kathleen, she referenced boundaries as being a glass window. And I never, thought of it that way, but I feel that's a good way to look at boundaries, to look at discernment as a glass window. Because through a glass window, you can make those observations. And you have the power to either let that window up or open that window or leave that glass wall there. Not that you, like you said, are excluding people, but making that area of that piece of you exclusive for certain people.
And you can still but you can still communicate through that glass window. So I'm not excluding you. You're still a part. You're just not in this area that I'm holding sacred, that I'm keeping to myself. So that's where I look at it as a self-love thing.
And I always have this, I guess, debate with certain people, or with, I guess my husband and I have it all the time, but with a peer group of ours, when it comes down to being included versus excluded. And I always say I would rather be excluded than not included, if that makes sense. And I say that because excluded is clear. Being excluded makes things exclusive. But not being included is like what I felt forgot about. You know what I'm saying? So for me, as a person, when it comes down to my self-love, I would rather be exclusive than not being included. I would rather have my peer group. I would rather have my time. I would rather have my energy. I would rather have my mental health exclusive than not included, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So I see a couple people that have come in. I want to shout you guys out. So I do see that Mr. Keith Henry has come in. Thank you for joining us. I see our previous guest, Kathleen, has come in. Hey, girl. I see that Slumdog Sacks has come in. I see Larry has came in. Hey, Larry. I see Loving_Life 00 has come in. I see Audacious Hair Studio has come in, as well as Janasia's Mommy has come in. I see, I don't want to mess up your name. I am not good at this. It looks like Does Sake eGod 2.2 has joined. I'm sorry if I messed it up. I'm sorry. But thank you for coming in. I see Joy that has come in. Thank you, Joy, for coming in. I see Portia. Hey, Portia, girl, has come in. And I see One of my high school friends from Madison, Trish, has come in. Thank you guys for joining in. For you guys that are just not tuning in, the topic that we're discussing today is self-love. And we're discussing it in the manner of selfish love. And we just finished our guest Heather just really kind of outlined selfish as being set apart. We talked about having a piece of ourselves or pieces of ourselves that are exclusive versus being able to also have those boundaries and being able to look through that glass window and make observations and discernments when we interact and having emotional intelligence of awareness and discernment. So to keep the conversation going, another thing that I have found when it's come to self-love is that there are always some kind of narrow-minded stereotypes. Mm-hmm. And when I say narrow-minded stereotypes, I can only speak from a female perspective. And I say that because as a female, I wear a lot of hats. I wear a lot of hats where I'm stretched and pulled pretty thin. Some in my own regard, some not necessarily in my own regard. Some that may have to do with just responsibilities that I have as a wife, as a mother, as an employee, as a business owner, and just having so many hats that I wear. And I think when it comes down to women, sometimes we have some guilt when it comes to self-love. I personally have some guilt when it comes to self-love. And I know, that's why I say you are a mastermind at self-love. It's been a journey for me. And I feel that I have that guilt because when it comes down to self-love, I feel like when I want to have time to myself, that time can be used with doing other things. But I've had to learn that I need that time to myself. And understanding and learning that I need that time to myself, I really have come to really kind of value solitude.
Right.
And when it comes down to solitude, of course, I wanted to look up the definition. And in looking up the definition of solitude, I was really kind of rubbed the wrong way. Okay. Because when you look in the dictionary, or in my dictionary, on my phone, it's the definition for solitude is loneliness. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, loneliness? That's not the solitude that I have, but that's how solitude is defined, or one of the first definitions for solitude is loneliness. So I was like, let me go and look at the synonyms. So I'm looking at the synonyms and I'm going down the list, and the first word is isolation. And I'm like, okay, now you playing. And then next is like loneliness. So it wasn't until the very end of the list that it said peace, that it said quiet. And for me, when I think about solitude, I think about peace and quiet. And although it's taken me some time to understand and to value my own personal solitude, I feel that when it comes down to these narrow-minded stereotypes, it's because when they define self-care, when they define solitude, those are the first things. So my question is, how do you feel, or if you would mind just sharing, what does solitude actually mean when it comes to self-love or selfish love?
So now this is very hilarious because when I got the outline and the topic for this question, I was like, oh my gosh, she is all in my business. And the reason is because I'm in the process of writing a book, and there is a specific section specifically about solitude versus isolation. Ooh. And the reason it is, I'm going to break it on back down to the biblical days, is let's take solitude. Solitude is when you are alone and you're in a pruning process. You're in a process of self-awareness. You're trying to learn yourself, trying to self-reflect. You're trying to get all of those things, planning, plotting, and stuff like that. You're doing all of that. Whereas isolation is where you're purposely withdrawing yourself for the sake of not wanting to face whatever it is that's coming up. So solitude is when you're doing it on purpose, but you're doing it to move forward. Isolation is where you're doing it in fear of moving forward. So that's how I look at it. One. Two, as far as it relates to selfish love, I feel like there is a necessity for solitude. There is a necessity for you to kind of pull back. I talk to you all the time about my cup. My cup is all of the abundance that God has for me. And so he's pouring into this. And I can't pour to anybody else if I don't have anything else in my cup. So what is for me is in the cup. So
Right.
everything that's in the cup, I'm sipping on, I'm enjoying, I'm
Right.
full, I'm not lacking anything.
Right.
And then what overflows belongs to everybody else. So you can have whatever juices and berries is overflowing, but what's in the cup is for me. And
she looking at my notes, y'all, because that is my next commentary. That's exactly how I feel. I feel the same way when it comes down to solitude versus isolation. And I remember like having a moment at work, and I remember like I just got so much going on, and I just need some time. I just need some time for myself. And she was like, you need some. She started giving me this whole kind of outline of the cup and the scripture of runneth over from the cup. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I never thought about it like that. And I think a lot of people don't think about it that way. And I've come to learn that when it comes down to my own solitude, I'm not at my best when I have so little of myself to give. And I feel that I have to keep myself, or I have to keep my cup filled in order for me to have something to give.
Right.
And it takes that time for me to sit back. It takes that time for me to have an evening, an hours, a weekend. Because I know that I can go a couple of weekends straight, and then I have to be like, you know what, I'm gonna pull back.
It's refill time.
It's refill time, and it's refill time because I've run out of energy. I've run out of wealth to give of myself, and if I can't give of myself, then I have nothing to give, which means I have nothing for myself nor nothing to give to anyone else. So for me, I work very hard to keep my cup filled. And I go to the point of being able to make extra time for my cup. And that means even if it's me getting up early, I get up at 5 or make a conscious effort to get up at 5 because that's time for me and my cup. That's time for me to fill my cup up for the day. So as it run over, when it's running over, getting the kids up and getting everybody off, I have that to give. I'm tipping over. I have a little bit falling out by the time I get to work, and I can give of myself to work. And then when I come home and I'm able to give a little bit more, by the time that I get home, I'm still at a good place where I have so much of myself to give away versus waking up with an empty cup.
Exactly.
So I think it's important that we value what it means to have that time for solitude. And I say this all the time with my oldest baby. I don't think she even understands the time that she takes for herself in solitude, but she's very good at it. Like she can come in and she can say, "I've had a hard day, I've had a long day," and you not see her for a couple of hours, but that's her solitude. Versus my middle baby, he needs some help understanding. You know, he know how to invade your solitude.
He'll get there.
I'm working on him. It's a progress. It's a progressive progress for him. But I think everybody needs to understand the value of solitude, because without that, you begin to isolate.
Correct.
I like what you said about solitude being something that's purposeful versus isolation is something that you may be running away from. So if you take on solitude as something that's purposeful, something that you're using for yourself as that refill, then it takes away that negative connotation for it.
Which is why I don't use the dictionary, because the dictionary will have you all kinds of negative.
I was really appalled. I was like, okay, I get it. I think for me, one thing that I've learned a lot through my own personal journey as it comes to self-love and selfish love is I've had a lot of lessons that I needed to learn for myself. I think there's some things that you can only learn when you are set apart. I believe that everyone in their own way, in their own right, have silent battles that they have to fight for themselves and within themselves. And those things aren't meant to share with everybody. Those things are meant to share with people. Some things you can't share with your spouse. Some people that you can't share with your confidant, because I tell my husband this all the time. Some things are just meant for you. Sometimes God will give you something that's just meant for you, and you don't have to share it with anyone. And it's not meant to share with anyone because it's just for you. So for me, I've had a lot of lessons that I've learned through solitude, through self-love, through selfish love. And I'm interested to know what, if you don't mind sharing, what's a lesson that you've learned through your journey of self-love?
So I would say one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is it's build up my faith. Like it's build up my faith, not only in myself, but in my faith in God, because it allows me to pull back and not rely, going back to the community, not relying on everyone else to fill me up or to meet a void or to validate. It cancels all of that out. As much as we need community,
right.
I still have to be self-aware and know that I need to, one, rely on myself. I need to have faith in myself, have confidence in myself, have this push in myself. I can't always fall back on somebody else's talent, somebody else's ingenuity, somebody else's expertise. I need to be able to go out and get it for myself. And so I think the biggest thing for me, like I said, was the faith in myself, the self-confidence in myself, and my faith in God. So.
For me, one thing that I would say that I've learned is just being able to have the exposure to certain things. I remember maybe about a week or two ago, I was watching a T.D. Jakes sermon that was sent to me, and he talked a lot about how exposure comes by way of experience, and how with experience comes evolution. And for me, there's some things that I probably wouldn't have learned about myself from my own self-doubt, from my own self-fears that I have, if I wasn't exposed to it. If I didn't have that time of solitude, if I didn't have that time to be able to seek clarity. And I feel that it's come by way of being exposed, and it's come by way of experience. But in the sermon, something that he said that really stuck out to me was he said that people can take a lot of things from you in life, but one thing they cannot take from you is your experience. So with knowing that my experience is my own, and no one can ever take that from me, and from my experience comes my evolution, those are the things that I felt that I valued more, and the lessons that I've learned from my own self-love and from my own solitude and selfish love, because those are things that, are only attainable by the means of exposure. My best friend and I always talk about how a lot of times it may be hard to be in a situation. It may be hard to go through certain things, but you wouldn't learn the lesson from the things that you go through if you weren't exposed to them. So I feel that that's the biggest lessons that I've learned from self-love is the exposure, and valuing the exposure that has given me the experience to know that some things are attainable. One of the biggest projects that I've been working on this year is a big event. And for the first time, I've had to really kind of put myself out in the forefront. And I'm a personable person, so this for me is second nature. Small groups, hosting events with small groups, that's second nature. But be able to leave a footprint, be able to have a digital footprint, being able to come to you guys with exposure and expansion and enlarged territory that we're doing now, that's big for me. And I've been put in a position where I've had to put my vision on paper and make it plain and be able to say, this is what I need from you to help me. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I wasn't put in a position where I had to do it myself. Because believe me, I was like, best friend, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I need some help. Can you come through? And she was like, I got some stuff to do. I don't know if I'll be able to come. And I was like, damn. So, I was put in a position where I had no choice but to lean on myself, but to sit down and soul search and have that solitude. And now looking at or anticipating the product is something that I probably wouldn't have been able to obtain if I didn't seek it. So, yeah.
Good for you.
Woo, it's been a process, but I'm telling you, it's going to be great when it comes. So, I see a couple of comments that people have posted. I see a lot of hearts and a lot of hashtags. Portia hashtag Tiff Talks, hashtag selfish single together, and hearts. Yes, girl, yes. I see that Jessica has said yes, and Trish has says amen, and Susie has says yes, and I see a lot of y'all saying yes. And remember, if y'all have any questions or any comments, make sure that you're also commenting those, and make sure that you hashtag Keep Talking Selfish Love as well, and we'll be sure to shout you guys out on Facebook. For you guys, unfortunately, I can only see the number of viewers. I can't see who's all in the live viewing stream unless you comment. So I always encourage you guys, this is an open forum, so please don't hesitate to make note of any questions, any comments, so that we can shout you guys out as well. So I am an avid Selfish Single podcast listener, and you did a show just recently about Speak Up.
Okay.
And I love that show, by the way. I listened to it a couple of times. But one thing that you talked about in that podcast was the cost and sacrifice. And I think it's good to talk about the value of self-love. It's good to talk about the good that comes with selfish love. But with everything, there's a cost. So I want to know, from your perspective, what do you feel the cost is of self-love?
So with everything in life, there is risk versus reward.
Right.
I really can't say that I've had necessarily a cost, because if something has been pruned or has been sheared away because of my relationship or my journeys with self-love, selfish love, then then that's what it was. It was pruned off. It was supposed to be gone. So I'm fortunate enough to have an amazing group of friends, an amazing community that understands that, hey, when Heather say no, she's not coming because she needs her self-love time. And that's okay, because they know that once I'm there, I'm fully committed, I'm fully engaged, I'm there for the long haul. Right. Yeah. So I'm showing up for them for if I need to be there, whether it be just to support or be there just to encourage, whatever it is. Right. So I feel like anything that has fallen off for the right reasons.
Right.
In that time of solitude, whether it be in the time of, like I said, pruning.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Oh, sacrifice is just what it is. I did in the beginning, because at first I was a people pleaser. So with people pleasing, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, but I noticed that I was losing myself. Like I was literally losing. Like I feel like I had to show up for this person. I had to show up for that person, and in that it was making me, my money was funny. My time was not right. So everything was because I was showing up for each individual person, and because I was giving them, like you said, my all, and I didn't have anything in my cup. So I was like, wait. Yeah. Take a step back and really understand what you're doing this for. If you care about these people, go listen to my new episode on the Selfish Single called "If You Love Them, Let the Lord Do the Work." But if you really love these people, then you would allow them to have. Sometimes they need to rely on their own self. You can't save everybody. Yeah. And because you can't save everybody, you need to take a step back. Yeah. And you need to continue to pour into yourself, so that way, when it is time for you to be there, and when you do need to be a real friend, you can be there. Because sometimes people need to know that they need to be in their own space, and you want to help them so bad. Like you love them so badly that you want to be right there with them, and it's gonna be okay, we can get through this together. When sometimes God is like, no, I need them to be by themselves, so that way I can talk to them, so that way they can know that I got them. So we can get this relationship, so they can have their own cup. Because right now they drinking from your cup. And you ain't gonna have no more in your cup because you keep pouring over into their cup. And so for me, that's what I had to learn. I had to learn that it's okay to sacrifice, but them people are cut off for a reason. And I'm okay with it.
Well, I laughed because our production team behind the camera was waving their hands. That's why I laughed. But you know what? That's a lesson that I've had to learn. I would never say that I'm a people pleaser, but like I said, I wear a lot of hats, so I have a lot of responsibility on me. Some that I've taken on, some that I've inherited, some that that's been put off on me. But in that, I do, because I wear so many hats and I juggle so many things, I've had moments in my life where I felt like I had to save, somebody. I had to be that person to always run, to always be there, to always pick up the pieces. Because one of my biggest fears is that my children or that my family will be hurt. If I can save you from being hurt, then I want to do that, because I don't want you to feel that pain. But she has taught me that some people or some things in my life are not meant to be saved. Like you said, some people have to fight their own battles, and as long as I am saving them, then they'll never fight. And I was running myself mentally and emotionally ragged by trying to save certain people and trying to be a safety net, because that's what it was, be a safety net. So that's a battle that I've had to fight within myself, that I feel that I've gotten better at. One thing that I love about Heather, and I had to understand it myself, was when she goes, or when she has her time to herself, she has her time to herself. And it's something that I feel when you know a person, when you truly know a person, when you truly love a person, you respect that about them. So that's something that I value and I respect about Heather. When she like, I'm going to be off for the next couple of days, it's like she going to be off for the next couple of days. Don't call her, don't text her, don't need her, because she not coming. And that's something that you respect, because you need that for yourself. And she does the same thing with us. When we need time for ourselves, when we say we going into the matrix, then we go into the matrix. And it's time for us to, like you said, refill. Time for us to fill up our cups, so when we come back, we can be at our best. When I think about the cost and the sacrifice of self-love or selfish love, a lot of times what I feel is it won't be understood by everybody. And I say that because some people don't understand when you turn your phone off. Some people will take offense when you don't respond to a text message, or when you don't respond to an email. And that's only because they don't understand it, or they don't have it themselves. So that's why they don't understand it. And some people, with not understanding, they may not respect it either. And that's where those boundaries that we continue to talk about comes into place. You have to put those boundaries in place so that people understand what your expectation is and where you draw the line. If you don't set a boundary for yourself, how can you expect them to abide by and respect that boundary? So for me, when I think of the sacrifice and cost, is a clear understanding and having a clear respect for that. And that's something that you have to instill in yourself so that you can entrust it to other people. I make a joke about my boys, because my boys clearly don't understand or respect solitude or self-love, because I can say, mommy needs some privacy, and my baby's like, privacy? Yes, I need some privacy. And he will go away for like a good 2-3 minutes, but 2-3 minutes after he busting back in, and he, privacy? Yes, mommy needs some privacy. And I'm the type of parent that we don't have locks on our doors, so we have an open door policy. But I may have to think about reconsidering it when it comes to him.
But if you're training them early to understand that, hey, there is this boundary. So even when they get older, they'll understand. And then, like you said, your daughter, your oldest baby, that she knows, hey, I need privacy. So they are in a household where they know that there is some boundaries for people for their own time. I need my time. So if they need their time, then you take your time. Because when they get 15, 16, 17, they're gonna need their time too.
I can't wait.
No, because then you're gonna be busting in on them.
I will kick it down. It's in my own house, so I can kick it down, and my husband can put it back up. But yeah, I need to do that. So I see a couple of new people have come in. I see that my cousin Shannon has come in. Hey Shay, nice to see you. I see Modesty has come in. Hey Modesty. I see hashtag pour into your cup. Yes, girl, we're gonna put that on a t-shirt. Talk about cups, pouring into your own. I see Jessica saying, preach, draining, girl. Amen. Yes. And I see Jerry, one of our fellow podcasters, has come in. Hey, Jerry, nice to see you. So for those of you that are just tuning in, we are talking self-love, and we're talking about self-love in regards to selfish love, and that love for yourself being set apart. So being able to make sure that you value and have discernment for self-love for yourself, and practicing those healthy boundaries that we talked about in the previous episode, and making sure that you put yourself, or you set yourself apart to make sure that your cup stays full. Because if you don't have a full cup, you obviously cannot give of yourself, or don't have the best pieces of yourself to give away. So that's what we have been talking about for the last 30-45 minutes. And well, not 45, almost 45. And we're actually kind of wrapping up. So my last question, and I'm sure you guys, most of you that follow me on social media, I not only set goals, but I set intentions for myself. And I set those intentions for myself because not always, life happens. I've come to a point that I understand life happens. So goals may be revised, they may change. It's 15 different ways to reach the same goal. But as long as I have the right intentions, I feel that I'm in a good place. So my question for you is, what would you say your intention for 2020 is in regards to your self-love?
So, first, in regards to self-love. Mm-hmm. So, I am trying to show up for myself, actually. So, I've mastered the self-love as far as filling up my cup, as far as, setting my boundaries, as far as showing up for other people. Right. But now it's time for me to show up for myself and not be scared of what the power that's in me, what I can do. Right. And so this year has been, it's like every time I do something for myself, I'm like, okay. So, but I'm enjoying the journey and I'm enjoying the process. So for me, I'm just enjoying that. Like that's the best thing for me right now. And I look forward to it. I'm excited.
That's good. That's good. For me, I think my 2019 has been my gestational period. Okay. About just life and passion. It's all about just being pregnant with this Tiff talk. And now that I've come to 2020 and on the other side of that, I've gotten to a point where I'm giving birth. And I think about how, each time when I found out I was pregnant, it was this whole, ask my best friend, it was this whole, mental breakdown, and I ain't gonna be able to do this, what are we gonna do? It was all this panic that came along with it. But as I began to go through the journey, so as I went to the doctor and heard, the heartbeat, and as I was able to finally see the outline of the baby, as I first was able to get that swift kick, that I developed, this passion for what I was birthing. And I developed just this protective instinct for myself. And in that protective instinct, I feel like that's where I am with my self-love. I'm more protective of my self-love. I'm more protective of my energy. I'm more protective of my time. I've gotten to the point where I realize that not everything and everybody deserves pieces of me. And like you said about being more exclusive with myself, I've become more exclusive with my time and my energy. I've become more protective of that. And that's what my intentions are for 2020, to be able to be protective of my passion. And that's why I'm excited to move forward, because I feel that not everything needs to be shared with everybody, nor do I need to give more of myself than I'm willing to give. So that's where I am. That's where I am. Excited. So I know that y'all have had, just by y'all comments, y'all have had a lot of gems and a lot of insight dropped. I truly hope that this particular live helped you guys, and that it was insightful and enlightening to you guys. And the way that we wrap up is that we always give our own testament. So your testament for today, what is one thing that you want to be sure that our audience take away from today?
So there's a lot of nuggets that we, like she said, we talked about. But the one thing I want you guys to take away from today is make sure that you're intentional about preserving yourself, your self-love. Make sure that you are filling up your cup. Make sure that you are being set apart. The thing that I put on my podcast, at the end of my podcast, and all my listeners know, as far as it relates to you, you point to your chest, you point to yourself, and you tell yourself, as far as it relates to me, I'm set apart. Every day. No matter what's going on, listen, as far as it relates to me, I'm set apart. The second thing I want you to take away from this is that every day is a day that is going to come up against you. It's going to come up against who you are. And so because it comes up against who you are, you have to be secure in who you are.
Yes.
And it takes time that you set aside for yourself. It takes you refilling. It takes you pruning. It takes you having those times where you have to say not today. It takes that discernment. It takes those boundaries for you to be able to say, you know what, I'm at my peak, or I'm at the bottom of my cup, and I need to step away.
I need a refill.
And it's okay for that. Yeah. So those are the two things that I want you to take away from as far as the selfish single goes.
That's good. That's really good. For me, I want everyone to be able to take away that self-love starts with yourself. And with understanding what self-love is, it's important that you make clear that you set yourself apart like that. Like you just said, and that you be okay with that. I feel that when it comes down to, like we talked about, these narrow-minded stereotypes, if you adhere to those narrow-minded stereotypes, then you won't be able to understand the value of self-love. And to understand the value of self-love, you got to be able to understand that they're going to be sacrificed, that they're going to be costs. But with those costs and with those sacrifices, it's kind of like quilting. Those things are complex. When you look at a quilt, it's a beautiful thing, but you don't understand what it took to get there. So that quilting starts with yourself. Your self-love starts with yourself. And that takes you having to be selfish with yourself. It takes you being able to be set apart. So I encourage that everyone dig deeper and understand and be okay with being set apart, because that's where it starts. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate every one of you guys that have tuned into this live. I knew this was going to be great. That's why I was excited about it. And I'm happy that I was able to share that with you all. And I appreciate you. A couple of announcements before we go. So for the month of February, we're going to continue talking love. And the next episode of Tiff Talks, which is next Sunday on February the 16th, for the first time ever, and I'm nervous about this also, we are going to be talking marriage. It is not just for married people, so don't feel like if I'm not married, I don't need to tune in. Yes, you tune in too, because it's going to be about marriage, all that is marriage, and some things that you're going to want to know about marriage, because it's not always a pretty picture, and we will talk about those things. And it'll be conversations that I wish were had before I got married. So make sure you tune into that. And also for you guys that have been along the journey of Tiff Talks, on this past Sunday, February the 2nd, we launched Tiff Talks Pod Swag Marketplace. And that, I was so amazed. Like, we literally got our first sale within the first 30 minutes of launch. So that, I mean, excitement in regards to that. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware and that you are going to the Pod Swag store. The link, or marketplace, I'm sorry. The link is actually in my bio. So if you are on my IG, if you go to the page, the profile page, you will see a link bio that says LNK. If you click that, it will take you directly to the marketplace, and it'll also take you to our website. In conjunction with the marketplace, we launched our website, which has more information about me and more of what I do and my passion. So I want to make sure that you guys have access to that. Last announcement. So for the month of March 22nd, actually, we will be coming back for our Goal Sisters Q1 quarter one engagement. And if you have not completed your registration, I highly encourage you to do it, because the seats are very limited and there are only a few more seats left. And no, I'm not going to open it for more people. This is going to be a very intimate environment, and I want to make sure that, just like the vision board party, that everyone that attends comes for what they are seeking. So make sure that you go and complete your registration. That is also in the link in my bio. And I think that's all the announcements that I have. So thank you guys for joining. Make sure that you like, share, and comment and reshare this post. And we will see you guys next Sunday, 4 p.m. Thank you.
Bye, guys.